Earlier today, we officially turned the page to winter. So it's time once again to check in with our resident astronomer, Dr. Chris Palma from the Penn State Department of Astronomy and Astrophysics. He's also Associate Dean for undergraduate students in the Eberly College of Science. I see you made it through the semester in one piece, Chris.
I'm there. I'm doing well.
A little bit of grading left?
Just a bit.
Just a bit. Me too, yeah. Hey, we talk a lot on this show about the Hubble Space Telescope,
Yes.
all the wonderful discoveries it's made since its launch in 1990. But now another space telescope set to be launched, James Webb Space Telescope. Mm-hmm. How will it be different than Hubble, and what kind of science will it do?
Yeah. You know, it's funny, I've gotten to arguments about this before because so many people hear that this is going to be the successor to Hubble, which makes you think it'll be the same but better. It's similar but better. And so we've talked also about different kinds of light, and in weather forecasting, you think about infrared light. Hubble could observe visible, ultraviolet, and infrared light. James Webb will only be able to observe in the infrared. So that's a big change. But what it will really do is it will let us be able to see more sensitively. So we will be able to see more distant galaxies. We'll be able to see the things we can already see better. And in particular, we're really hoping for the first time to detect a lot of information about the atmospheres and conditions of planets around other stars. So we might be able to know if another planet has water, which would be really a great discovery.
Let's talk a little bit about the launch. How dangerous will the launch be for the telescope? I mean, is it a given that it'll succeed, and can it be serviced?
Yeah, that's another great question. This is another way in which Webb is going to be very different than Hubble. So you might remember seeing astronauts go retrieve Hubble, do a spacewalk, fix it. James Webb, again, because it's going to study infrared light, it has to be as cold as possible and has to be really protected from the light and heat from the sun and Earth. So it's going to be far from the Earth, and so it will never be able to be serviced. So because it can't be serviced, we have to make sure this launch goes right, that everything works properly once it's launched. And that's a challenge. It's always a challenge with every space telescope, but it's especially challenging for Webb. Many of us are nervous, but optimistic. Everybody has put in all the work necessary to make sure this is going to go as smoothly as possible. Space is hard, space is unpredictable, but we're pretty confident that this is going to go well and that this telescope is going to be a great success.
So as of the time we're speaking, it is scheduled to launch on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
From a spaceport in South America near the equator, that makes the launch easier?
Mm-hmm. So this is a partnership of multiple countries, and so it's going to launch from the European Space Agency's facility, which is in French Guiana, closer to the equator than Cape Canaveral, which is great because that gives it a bit more of a boost, and it's going to make Webb be able to achieve its orbit a little bit faster and a little bit easier than if it launched from Cape Canaveral. But it is still a challenge. Any launch is a challenge.
Seems like every time we chat, one of the stories we discuss sounds like science fiction. and there's another one on the table right now. NASA with a mission to launch a spacecraft that will crash into an asteroid. So it's kind of a planetary defense mission.
Yeah.
I think I've seen this movie, but tell us about the reality.
Yeah. Well, and if you've seen the movie, that's not what's going to happen, right? So we have talked about we want to make sure that an asteroid doesn't hit the Earth. And we are surveying for them. We're trying very hard to make sure that we know of all the ones that are out there and what paths they're on. But what if we find one that's dangerous? So we're not going to launch a bomb. We're not going to blow it up. But we would want to just push it a little bit. So if you push it early enough, that will change its orbit just enough that it'll miss Earth rather than impact us. So NASA is going to launch a vending machine-sized satellite and crash it into a Great Pyramid-sized asteroid so that it just diverts it enough so that we can see its orbit change.
So it's a test run.
Yes.
Make sure you get the Snickers and the Hershey's bars out of the vending machine before it's launched.
Yes.
We have a lot of acronyms in my field. Sometimes I feel bad for the students. There are so many of them. One acronym that in your field isn't really that technical is APOD, but I know you'd like viewers to hear a little bit about APOD.
Yeah. Well, we talk all the time. What would people want to hear about? And one of my greatest inspirations is a website called Astronomy Picture of the Day. It's a NASA website. It's as old as the internet, 25 years old. And what's great about it is they really just post a picture every single day of Mars, of Uranus, of a distant galaxy, of the night sky. What's really great, they occasionally veer into weather, some beautiful cloud formations, some atmospheric phenomena. But if you're ever, in between seasons wondering, can I get an update on some astronomy? Astronomy Picture of the Day is a wonderful resource, has an archive of 25 years worth of these beautiful pictures.
We are aware of APOD over here on the weather side, yes. We got about a minute left. How about talk a little bit about what viewers might see in the night sky in the coming weeks? Yeah. What's on your mind?
Well, we always talk about planets, and you can of course see Venus right now. But I want to mention near Venus, there's a comet called Comet Leonard, after the person who discovered it. You might remember decades ago now, there were these bright, visible comets that you could see without any telescope. Those are rare. In general, if you want to look for a comet, you want to use a pair of binoculars. But if you look low in the southwest, right at sunset, near the bright planet Venus, you have a chance of seeing the tail and bright nucleus of Comet Leonard. So I'd really encourage people, look for Venus, and if you have some binoculars handy, try to see Comet Leonard not far from it in the southwestern sky.
Once again, fully dependent on whether the meteorologists come through. Dr. Chris Palma, always good to welcome you back. Good seeing you again.
Thank you.
And we will be back in a moment with more.